We're an ultra social species. So humans are an ultra social species. We're even more social than bees and ants. It's hard to imagine that. But the habits of the people that we're around, they rub off. So if our gut is not healthy, it means the people around us and the habits of the people around us, that their gut microbiome is not healthy. Gut microbiome is contagious. It's meant to be shared. We have a communal microbiome. So the definition of microbiome is like the sum total of the different species that live in our physiology.
Welcome to the Thrive with Cate Stillman podcast, made for you by us.
What I'd like to start with is to bring our awareness to the beginning of the year, to January 2025. And based on past Januaries, how do we think we're going to feel on January 1st? And those who are here for clients as well, you want to think of that for yourself first. And then second, for your clients or your patients, is how are they going to feel in early January? So I'm going to set my timer for a minute, and I just want you to write. So this is a workshop. It's interactive. If you don't have a notebook or a fresh Google Doc ready, please take a moment and pull that out so that you can workshop right alongside.
I'll go.
Yeah, thanks, Darlene.
All right. So in January 2025, my clients are going to feel, because I'm starting my detox, my first one, they're going to feel ready. They're going to be tired. They're going to feel exhausted and just overweight and frustrated with everything. They're going to be ready. I've been starting my launch a little bit. So I'm also doing this for them. And for myself, it's always good to have a good reset. And I feel that they're ready. They're ready to receive, and they're motivated. So that's how my clients are feeling at the moment.
Darlene's pulling on here, which is that there's like a natural motivation that comes with the beginning of the year. So if we miss that, and the motivation is going to be personal, where we're also going to be feeling it. Is anyone already kind of looking forward to that? Just kind of looking at like the holidays ahead and like, oh, right. For those of us who are really into health and wellness, this can be a very tricky time of year where it seems like we're making concessions for ourselves continually in order to be socially appropriate, right? Whether that means that you're eating your mom's homemade cookies, or whether you're maintaining a tradition that was passed down through you, but might not really resonate with how your body wants to feel. That like the next 6 weeks can feel a bit overwhelming. So it's important for those of you who are working with clients is to like, actually, this is part of like preparing people for what you're going to be doing in January, is like letting them know and giving them strategies for how they can be in a pretty good place in the beginning of January, and maybe even ready to take their health to a level where it's never been before. So if we get that, like the way that we talk and communicate and the way that we address the needs as per like what's going on in someone's life right now it literally changes their biochemistry. It literally, even that changes gut health. So by being inspired, you change your gut health. Wild, huh? So by being reactive, right? Maybe we're in a reactive pattern to the holidays. Maybe we're in a reactive pattern to traditions. That will actually depress our gut health. And we can break down into like why with serotonin and the microbes and the gut and the microbiome and all that. But I think what's more important right now is just to understand that the way we communicate, the way we plan on what is coming up for our clients and for ourselves will, determine how we feel. For those of you who know that bloated, weight gain, like where messaging really falls in for your members, like that might be messaging that's like 3 or 4 stages in, whereas like reset, you're like, wow, can everybody get behind a reset, even if they don't want to deal with maybe weight issues right now, kind of thing. I'll share a little bit in what I've really noticed has worked for my members in Club Thrive. So what we found is that four times a year, having these resets makes a huge difference. So 4 times a year. So one in the beginning or middle of January, one in April, one around the beginning of July, and then one in October. So they're around these quarterly marks, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And so there's an expectation that the next one is always around the corner. And that has made a huge, huge difference for us, that they can rely on us to reset. So as much as things might get out of control between December 15th and December 31st, they know that in early January, there's going to be a chance to really reset themselves. All right. So one of the things we do in Wellness Pro Academy is detox certification, and gut health reset. For me, this falls under this category. And so if we look at some of the different types of ways that we can reset, one of the things I just want to emphasize is that it really comes to something that's called autophagy. So I'm going to show you on this screen what autophagy looks like. So autophagy means self-eat. So self-eat, what this means is that the body is able to go into a fasting mode. In fasting mode, the self actually feeds on the self. It's such a cool process. It's so undercapitalized. Part of the reason it's undercapitalized is when you're fasting, you're not consuming, and we're in a consumer culture. So I can't sell you anything. I cannot sell you anything that turns on autophagy. All I can sell you is like, I'll guide you through autophagy. That's all I can do, because there's nothing you can buy. And so the way this works on the Wellness Pro side for guiding reset is to understand that in the guidance, people are able to do things that they can't do on their own. Who's experienced this? I'd love to hear from any of you who've worked with me and maybe done a fast mimicking diet or a 72-hour water fast, or gotten their intermittent fasting under wraps.
It's very noticeable how productivity goes up and clarity of mind just off the bat. So with fast mimicking diet, and also just with even Khichdi cleanse, but really with fast mimicking diet.
Okay, so has anyone ever had a hard time doing it on their own, like doing something hard on your own, like a 72-hour water fast or a 5-day fast mimicking diet? Yeah. And I'll clarify some terms here. So in fast mimicking diet, if we go, that's FMD for code language. What this is where we, and let me pull up the fast mimicking diet here. So basically what we're doing is we're just dropping calories to like the bare minimum that, in my experience, like it's more of the emotional body can handle it. So those of you who study holistic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, there's something that's happening in the energy body, in like the chi body or the prana body. The pranamaya kosha is the technical term in Ayurveda. There's something happening in that with just having a little bit of food that keeps that sweetness to life. And so for some people that feel that feel deprived, or they're already in a highly reactive stress mode, this is make it, break it. They can't fast. They can't do the 72-hour water fast, but they can just drop calories to 1/3 of normal. When this happens, autophagy happens. When autophagy happens, the body does a few things. One is it breaks down bacteria and viruses. I'm curious if anyone, in that first question of like what needs to happen in January, if anyone is like, I need to help my clients' immune systems be stronger so they don't get sick, or they might not, and some of you might not be on the pro flu shot side of things, so that they might not need to be like hyper-vaxxed because of the long-term effects of that on the immune system and the effects of that on the microbiome. Right. So like, and I'm not trying to be controversial. It's so hard for me to not to be controversial. I'm really trying to not be controversial. But if we look at the long-term side effects of vaccines and of other pharmaceuticals on microbial health and the microbiome health, they have a depressing effect, which means that you're going to have increased dysbiosis, which means you're going to have increased problems with viruses and bacteria and pathogens in general. Okay, so a few things just to recap. We know that we need to get ourselves and our people psyched for January, to know this is coming, and to know that like no matter how much we fuck up in the next 6 weeks, no matter how bad we feel on January 1st, that we can reset. That the number one way to reset is to allow autophagy to happen. And when autophagy happens, part of that are these two other processes. So phagocytosis, this is when the cells, the phagocytes, which are part of the innate immune system, they get just to go to work. They just get to digest any sort of pathogens, bacteria, viruses that are in the system. The other thing that happens is apoptosis. So apoptosis is when the body just destructs dysfunctional cells. So if you've ever heard of cell mutation, where the cells mutate because they're not following the genetic code, that is because apoptosis is not happening. It's because autophagy is not happening. So the A's, these double A's, autophagy and apoptosis, these two things, they're different ways of saying the same process, but it's a little bit more specific. Autophagy is the general term, and then autophagy happens in a number of different ways. Okay, the third thing that we've covered is that doing hard things like fasting and autophagy. So autophagy only happens when we're in a fasting mode. That's easier together, right? It's easier when we do that together. What I found in my own household, I'll just share a little story here. So those of you who study Ayurveda know my background's also in Ayurveda. My husband's constitution is kapha. It's not vata kapha. It's not kapha vata. It's not pitta kapha. It's not pitta vata. Like it's like kapha, kapha, kapha. These guys like super, super grounded, right? And so the interesting thing, kaphas can be very hard to motivate. Like they are not trending. So if something's trending, they don't care. They're gonna like it's like a cruise ship. It's just gonna keep going in the direction where it's set course. So it's hard to change that direction. Yeah. Other people in my life don't have so much kapha, and they're like, I'm doing this. They're like, oh my gosh, that sounds great. I want to do it too. That is not my husband, right? It's not that body type. It's not that mind type. That's not that manas prakriti. Yet we know that we're an ultra social species. So humans are an ultra social species. We're even more social than bees and ants. It's hard to imagine that. But the habits of the people that we're around, they rub off. So if our gut is not healthy, it means the people around us and the habits of the people around us, that their gut microbiome is not healthy. Gut microbiome is contagious. It's meant to be shared. We have a communal microbiome. So the definition of microbiome is like the sum total of the different species that live in our physiology. A healthy microbiome is called eubiosis. An unhealthy microbiome is called dysbiosis. Dysbiosis has fewer species. So trading species is the name of the game. Like trading each other's microbiomes is the name of the game. There's a really beautiful book called An Elegant Defense. And in that, he does a lot of aggregate research. It's by a New York Times bestseller. He does some aggregate research, and part of it is he pulls in the research that shows that even having the 5-second rule at home, where stuff drops on the floor, that increases eubiosis. Having a pet in the household, that increases eubiosis, because the pet does, especially if it's a dog, because the dog goes and sniffs the other dog's poop, right? It takes in those microbes, right? I know this is TMI for some of you, but we really want to understand gut health. The name in the game is microbial diversity and autophagy. Because in autophagy, the body's going to kill off the microbes that it doesn't want. That's part of the innate immune system. The adaptive immune system is going to build antibodies and antigens to new viruses and bacteria. So the body becomes more rehearsed and, oh, this is not a problem. I know how to deal with this. Okay, so back to my husband. After, and it has not been a short time, 4 years of me doing quarterly gut health resets, quarterly fast mimicking diets, 5 days, 500 to 700 calories a day. My husband has now automated the habit with me, right? Not catchy, not trendy. And so if we really understand that doing it together and creating momentum for a group to do something hard together is what's going to work, then that's what we want to start planning for. Either if we're here because we need our own gut health reset, then we need to join a group that's going to push us to do the harder thing. It's going to push us deeper into autophagy. And if we're here to guide a group, we want to get them psyched and let them know that it's actually going to be easier together. Because the number one thing that they'll think of, and when you're proposing this, usually is like, it's going to be too hard for me. I'm going to fail. I commit to things I don't follow through on.
I like the fact that preparing everybody before you do it, because it almost, there's a sense of permission. So they don't have that, oh my gosh, I have to do this on January. I said, no, it's okay. Let's do what you want, mindfully within moderation, and then you can reset. We'll give you the tools to be able to do this every single time. And now you
Let
can
me pause
enjoy
on
it.
that. So hold on that, because the mindfully in moderation, you can also say like throw moderation out, like everything in moderation, including moderation. I think that's Oscar Wilde, right? So you can give people a chance to like really party, really celebrate, like really push their system into dysbiosis, knowing that they're going to pull back. And that in Ayurvedic language, that's spanda. It's actually yoga language. Spanda is autophagy, meaning you contract. That's autophagy, fasting, feasting. And in feasting, you're out and about, you're taking in all sorts of bacteria and all sorts of viruses, like you're going into massive exposure, you're off your circadian rhythm. And it's so fascinating, the other side of the positive stressor habit. Yeah. I love what you're saying, Darlene, in terms of giving permission, like permission to feast, knowing that, don't worry, we got you on the backside.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
That made it that was one reason that I got one client in, because of that. There's no resistance. Do what you want. We'll figure it out later. So
great.
I actually fast very easily. I have fasted for 20 years, but in the last couple of years, my body can't handle it. By day 2, already there's extreme fatigue and exhaustion. And when I'm even just sitting still, I can feel my pulse throughout my entire body. And I can tell that it's not safe to go on. So, and when I do, even when I eliminate the unhealthy foods, the woman who mentioned sugar addiction, thank you, because I was a carb addict all my life and am still battling with that. When I eliminate all those unhealthy foods, I lose weight uncontrollably. I'm at an all-time low. I haven't weighed this little since I was about 10 years old. So is it safe for me to fast? What do I need to do to fast safely with my current body situation?
Like, so for me to answer that question just like on the fly right now without doing a consultation with you, it's going to be a bit impossible. Right, because there's a lot that goes in there. So I want to like pull this out into, in general, when people are losing, when they don't have weight to lose, and when their body loses weight in reaction to stress, we need to remove the chronic stressors. So we need to see what else is causing chronic stress. Under chronic stress, the body will lose weight. Now, initially, who gains weight under stress? Does anyone have the opposite where you're like, that doesn't make sense? Because I put on pounds when I'm stressed out. Anyone besides me where it's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, I'm sure there's a few of you in there that'll put on a couple pounds when you're stressed out. So there's, again, it can go between a acute stress and chronic stress. So the body might hold in the short term for some of us. And then in the long term, when we're stressed out over time in the long term, we're breaking down the we're breaking down the body's ability to shift into parasympathetic nervous system, and we can be in cortisol addiction. And when we're in cortisol addiction, we'll go more towards weight loss eventually. Now, people that with more of a vata pitta or pitta vata body type, so these lighter body types, will go into that sympathetic weight loss response faster. So we need to get to what is the chronic stressor. What I have found in my work is usually there's PTSD, right? So like there is a shit ton of trauma. Some of it's birth trauma, some of it's in utero trauma, some of it's early childhood trauma. But usually when I start talking about it, what'll happen with a person is like 2 or 3 things are going to pop up, and those are right. So a lot of what we do in Club Thrive is we work with increasing your intuitive, what in Ayurveda we call svadhyaya, or like ability to study self and improve the relationship with your intuition so that we can get to the root of processing the trauma. So repeated traumas early in life, they decrease microbial diversity like from the get-go. So if the mother and baby are separated in the first 12 hours postpartum, it doesn't matter what mammal it is. At this point, we're mammalian species, right? We're going to have a decreased microbial diversity. Like, for how long? Like, it's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work. We've actually changed we've used epigenetics to change the genetic code at that point. So the genetic code does not appear the same just within the first 12 hours. So if we take that as a micro example of from science, which has actually been studied, right? This effect has been studied. There's so many effects that haven't been studied yet, but you can sort of use your intuition and say, like, if the baby was stressed out, if the baby didn't have unconditional love for the first 5 years, if the baby doesn't have skin to skin contact for the first year, if the baby isn't breastfed till full term, we're going to have a decrease in microbial diversity. We're going to have gut issues. They might show up as allergies. They might show as asthma. They might show up as ectopic dermatitis, which are all basically a way of saying allergies or immune system response, is the body is not able to differentiate self from other. If we don't have strong microbial diversity and we don't have a strong feeding fasting rhythm, we're going to have problems with just differentiating self from other. And that's why we see that show up in the immune system: allergies, asthma, ectopic dermatitis. Usually other things will be rolled in. Downstream of this, we have things like autoimmune disease, chronic fatigue, chronic health issues, chronic organ issues, chronic system breakdown.
So as a guide in this instance, when you have these sorts of things showing up and you only have people for the certain amount of perhaps online time, what's your advice on dealing, as these are big issues that come up that can be really traumatic?
Yeah, really good question. So I'm gonna screen share into Club Thrive. So this is why we use the club model in both in Club Thrive and in Wellness Pro Academy, where we teach the club model. And I see a lot of you are in Wellness Pro Academy. So in the way that Club Thrive works, and the way that clubs work, is on an annual membership, right? And so there's going to be issues that we're going to want to solve in our core curriculum. So for me, this is going to fall under heal. So we have nature of healing, unique you. This is constitutional medicine, digest dysbiosis, healing crisis. What we just heard from Verna is she goes right into healing crisis. So for her, autophagy and healing crisis are the same thing, right? I know some people in here can relate to that. You're like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, so I actually am doing the right thing, but it's too much. It's overwhelming. I'm not supported. Some of you, who here is trained in Panchakarma as a therapist? I know some of you guys have background in Ayurveda. Is anyone trained in Panchakarma a little bit? Does anyone receive Panchakarma? Yeah? Okay. So what happens in Purva Karma? Like, what are some of the things that we do in Purva Karma?
I mean, we're preparing the body.
Yeah.
Right?
And how do we do that?
With the ghee, foliation, and eating simple foods and taking away the stimulus.
And what else? Like, what's the big other thing that we do? Who's had it? Who's gone somewhere and had, what's happening to your body? What are people doing to your body? How are we oiling the body?
Abhyanga.
Yeah. Which means what?
Oil massage.
Oil massage. So you guys, when you get this, you really, really get it. We're pacifying the nervous system. We're nurturing the nervous system. We're allowing the nervous system to be in parasympathetic mode while we're moving into autophagy. It's so beautiful. Ayurveda, those of you who've really studied and experienced Ayurveda, it's so freaking elegant. It's so masterful. It's so not understood, and it's not taught well. So not your fault. The beautiful thing to understand here is that we can digest dysbiosis and detox if we know how to really deeply shift into parasympathetic through self-massage. Through those of us who can't just self-massage, we need to receive touch. Right? We really need to receive the super soothing. This is not deep tissue massage. This is not sports medicine massage. This is just soothing the nervous system type of massage, type of oil therapies, steam therapies. And all this is doing is saying, like, it's okay, we can go into autophagy. It's okay, we're going to deal with the emotions that come up right now. It's okay, we have time right now. We have time to digest. The dysbiosis is not just in the physical body. It's also in the emotional body. So moving into I'm grounded, I'm warm-hearted, I'm excited. Whereas before we're usually in this, I'm overwhelmed. And that's what, did anyone hear the overwhelm for Verna? How it's just her system gets overwhelmed, absolutely overwhelmed. And there's not a self-soothing mechanism that's deep enough. And you guys, it's not Verna's fault. Deep gut health reset was never done alone in the past. It wasn't. It was done part of seasonal feasting, seasonal fasting. It was done part of when we needed healing. We had healers around us that could literally take on the stress of our nervous system for us. So like you can literally like take, if you're strong enough as a healer, you can take on someone else's sympathetic nervous system response so that they don't have to. And they borrow from your ojas, they borrow from your parasympathetic response. And that's how we heal together. So when we're planning a gut health reset, so those of you guys who are like, that sounds amazing, Cate, but I'm not going to do like four-handed massage on all of my people I'm going to do gut health reset with in January. In fact, I'm not going to do any hands-on with anyone. How do we create that for our group? Like, what's the energetic way to create that for our group? So I'm going to give us another minute to workshop on how would I create a relaxed nervous system for my members.
All right. So what I'm planning on doing is to go through this in positive and playfully. So since I'm always in the kitchen and my courses revolves around food. So we're going to do some do-it-yourself aromatherapy. So that's something that we can work with while you're doing your self-massage.
Okay, pause there. I'm just going to comment on that one. So the reason that's going to work is smell or scent. Actually, I love things smell. Scent is the sense of taking in, right? So using this scent goes right into the limbic system. So it's going right into parasympathetic. It's going directly into parasympathetic. Okay, keep going.
We're going to do this by herbal simmering pots. So we can sit and we all do it together, adding different spices for different body types, or for whatever stage in life that you are that you feel you need to do. So that is a fun, and oil blends, do it yourself oil blends when we're getting ready to self-massage.
Okay, that sounds great. That really sounds great. Anyone else?
I had an idea of maybe doing like an audio recording of a guided abhyanga like you're going to do here and have like the music going on in the background, because then they can access it and they could schedule it into their day.
I so love that. I so love that. And if you make that evergreen, you can just use that forever. Yeah. And it plays to your strengths. So you're already playing with audio video recordings and podcasts and that. So absolutely. You might even, have the 5-minute version, have the 1-minute version, have the 20-minute version. I'll post on Wellness Pro Academy. I just recorded a 1-minute version for a member in Club Thrive who's having a really hard time with self-massage. It just puts her straight into fight or flight. That's really common. If people have enough trauma, super common where they're like, nope, I am not going to touch myself. I'm not going to, but usually I know it's wild. So what I try to do is like, what's the 1-minute version? Because we can really do anything for a minute. Like almost, we can even hold our breath.
What about those of us who have a really hard time connecting with our intuition?
Yeah. This is so good because we know things like developing intuition take a long time that we have. Like, and I'll just show you in Club Thrive, like what I'm looking at with my core competencies in Club Thrive is that people get really good at all of these things over time, over the course of the year. And that's why, to me, the club model is so important, is that if we can hold someone in a container where they can be with the same people, that helps the nervous system relax. If it's like a life positive growth group, that allows the exhale. So we don't need to solve everyone's problems in a reset. That's the whole reason you have the club. Helping people understand that's a good investment. And like, you can't solve everyone's problems in 5 days or in 7 days or in 21 days. I have a member right now, Verna, in Club Thrive on Club Hero, we've been working together for 3 years. So she's been in the club for 3 years. The first 2 years were mostly on, because she's also in Club Hero, which deals a bit with life coaching, career coaching. So we were working primarily on physical habits and career coaching, and she was having all these breakthroughs. Come year 3, her number one goal this year, intuitive, like to become intuitive, to honor her intuitive body, to listen for her intuitive body. And she has had the most profound breakthroughs. It's been so exciting for me because she's an engineer by trade. She's been in STEM programs her whole life. Like she works primarily with men, like since she was a teenager, like boys and then men, because those are engineers primarily. And she stayed with it. So her intuitive body was really suppressed, and her ability to like project manage and strategically think and to implement, very linear is through the roof. But a very, very underdeveloped intuitive body. And so now that she's given herself permission, so it took her a few years to just give herself permission to focus on the intuitive, to like leave the linear rational and go, okay, I'm going to go all in on intuitive body this year. And we're just seeing breakthrough after breakthrough. So my answer to that question is like, that's all part of what we do in Club Thrive is that. How we start to do it is like everything that we've talked about so far, right? If we just start to, like for you, it's going to be a very, very deep self-care. That's, you're hanging out with other people that are doing self-care. In terms of the structure, in terms of what that looks like, it's like every Monday we're just working on the habits of self-care together as a group. And so we're just re-emphasizing. So it's not just what we learned, but really positive stressor habits are what we do together. And for those of you leading your clubs, like you have to understand, information does not equal transformation. It's what we do together. It's why my husband can do fast mimicking diet now very easily, because it's just what we do together. We're an ultra social species. Okay, so that goes back to like the year-long, like where resets and detoxes fit in a year-long structure with a club, and why, for those of you guiding clubs, why you don't have to answer, you don't have to like turn someone like my client I'm describing from like 0 to 100 in intuition in 21 days. It's not going to happen. She'll have breakthroughs, but then there's going to be time and process and issues for the healing crises again to come up. Right. And then I know people are going to need to understand how their body's communicating. So I'll make that then a lesson just particular to that. What brings on a healing crisis? What is a healing crisis? Dysbiosis, positive stressors and die-off, et cetera. So I'm going to teach to that as part of my core competencies. Anything I want someone to be competent in my club and be able to communicate with other members on, I'm going to build that more into my year-long club. So that, again, for Verna, she's a perfect fit for Club Thrive. For you guys leading your own clubs, hopefully now this helps you see what the core competencies are really about, for like where your members are going to get stuck and what you need to teach to as part of that evergreen content. Valerie identified that part of her evergreen content, right, that she can use in a reset and she can use in her club, and she can use probably in a number of facets also in marketing and social media, is going to be the like, hey, I'm going to get you in love with you physically. I have a story from our detox in October. Someone that was not yet in Club Thrive and having just a ton of issues. Her issues started, she can't remember when, so childhood. She was in her 60s. And she had 80% symptom reduction in 2 weeks of the detox. So people can have huge shifts if you have like a 2 to 3 week time. And part of that is just the like, this is what we do here, and being held by that container and being invited into doing harder things together. And then having the kind of connection through that process. So a lot of messaging, having a number of check-ins, part of a group check-in, feeling part of a whole can be so, so, so big. Yeah. So that's my next question. Like, are you going to help those of you who are going to guide a gut health reset in January? How are you going to help people feel part of the whole that's doing it?
I had an idea to create a group vision board with everyone's goals and visions on like one piece of something. And that way they can see each other's goals and to cheer each other on.
I love that. So Canva has now added whiteboard as a feature, and you can share with everyone. If you go into your share settings, you can share, you can make the vision board and maybe even map out like a little space for everyone to add their part in, and then they can edit directly in there. I love that. I love that idea, Valerie. And maybe making it easy by giving them like a few examples or a few prompts. And then what I would do with that as well is like give them a deadline so that they do it. And then in whatever you're using for your forum or for your chat, to like just keep when someone updates theirs, is like show it, highlight it, cheer them on. I love that. I so love that. It also would be interesting after the reset to have them look back and to, you know, you could even do some cool testimonial videos that would help for attracting for your next reset. Is like, what did they want to have happen? And then what actually happened? And recording those with like the vision board in the back would be really powerful, where they're seeing you and the vision board.
So this is something I didn't do last time, and you're giving me the idea to connect people so they have a buddy system. So if our sessions are in the morning, the buddy they can have to do like a before bed check-in. It could be a text, or it could be a message on the board or something. So they have one person that they're kind of holding each other, working through it. And then they can all check in with everybody when we're all together.
I love that. So where we've seen that be most effective is when you give them the prompts. So it's like you clearly outline, like, this is how it's going to work. It's going to be 10 minutes in the beginning of the day, 10 minutes at the end of the day. Here's the one question you're answering. You tell them exactly how that's going to go. And then it'll be, yeah, really good. And you guys, with the prompts, I don't like to just ask, I like to focus people's attention to exactly what I want them to talk about. So for example, I could say, how did today go? Or I could say, what's working? What's the difference? Just think about it. Specific, what else? What's the other difference? Pinpointed, gets them to dial it in. What else? There's a big part. Keep guessing. This is good. I'm testing your good.
You're focusing
Positive.
On the positive.
Positive. We're focusing on the gain, not the gap. This is crucial. This is really crucial. I mean, in this, you know, for Verna, right, who can, like, we know she's going to brink right on healing crisis with doing something that's challenging but good. It can help her see what's actually working instead of just what's not working, like what's actually where she's in control rather than where the process is out of control. So this is also one of the things that we did, 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago in Body Thrive, which became Club Thrive, is we used the book, The Gap and the Gain, for a quarter. We did it for a whole quarter. We did it from November through January. And it was training. I wanted to train my whole community into how to measure from where they've been. So we measure against their past self rather than measuring to their ideal self. So there's always a gap between where we are and where we want to be. That's the nature of human evolution. That's awesome that we can do that. We can set goals and achieve them. It's amazing. Go humans. So good. So good. Like my dog, not so much on that, right? My kid, way easier to train on that because it's natural. But we don't want to measure to the ideal because it's depressing. It's overwhelming. We want to measure from the progress that we've made so that we know that we can make progress. We know and are reinforcing the things that help us make progress.
So I was thinking, like, as people commit to coming in, I could be like, we're going to have this set period of time. Is there some way that you would like to contribute? Like, if you're a yoga teacher, do you want to teach a yoga class? If you have some skill, do you want to bring that to have a extra session?
We use liberating structures at our events, and I've also used them to help prepare for events. And I really look forward to doing this with the next Mexico retreat. This LS menu here, and I'll put this link in the chat. So liberating structures were primarily used with companies for problem solving. I use them with my family. I use them with my club members all the time. I love liberating structures. So 15% solutions is really what, this is the structure that Lisa's naming here. I'll put a link to this also in the chat. Okay. So discover and focus on what each person has the freedom and resources to do now. This is a structure that takes 20 minutes with a group. So you can pull a lot of collaborative intelligence into a group in a really short period of time. The key question is here, in connection with their personal challenge or their group's challenge. In this case, the group's challenge is a gut health reset. It might be specific, a fast mimicking diet or 72-hour water fast or blah, blah, blah. What is your 15%? Where do you have discretion and freedom to act? What can you do without more resources or authority? And what I love about this, sometimes as leaders, we can really be pulled back from people who have a very strong victim mindset. It can be exhausting. It can undermine the group. And this is something in Wellness Pro Academy in 2025. We're going to work a lot more on group coaching. We're going to bring some of that back, some of our big lessons learned from a decade with yoga health coaching and teaching people how to coach, because it's so, so important that we have strong systems and strong mindset. So when we can help, it's such an amazing thing when you can help like the key, I want to say whiner, it's kind of mean, but like the person that has the most backward pull for the group, when we can transform that and alchemize that, turn them into a catalyst for driving the group forward, like your jaws will drop. And you'll realize, maybe like I did, like, oh my gosh, I put up with so much for so long because I wasn't creating the structure to turn someone around from victim into a leader. And so this is very self-generative, meaning that the person themselves can learn how to do that. The other thing that really comes to mind with this is helping people orient to this is how we show up together. Like, be all in, be ready, take action, always be experimenting, prioritize your growth, engage the edge of opportunity, nurture identity evolution, listen deeply, communicate with care and candor, reach in when you tweak out, lead, give, receive, overcome resistance by kindling desire. Any one of these can be used to set the mindset frame. And any one of these can be used to troubleshoot when someone's having a hard time. So any one of these can also be used to help people contribute. So you can even assign people, depending on what those of you who have your own clubs, you can use our ground rules in Wellness Pro Academy, or you can use your own. Both are very powerful. We've experimented with ours for a long time. So I love the idea, and what Lisa's saying is like, how can you lead part of the group? You can even have people like assign people to comment every day on one of your ground rules and to drive some engagement based on a structure that you already have. So ground rules is a structure. I'm going to show you another structure, which is values. So these are our values in Wellness Pro Academy. They're different than our values in Club Thrive. So whatever the values of your business are, like, we'll just look at these two, which are the same in Club Thrive as they are in Wellness Pro Academy, is thrive. We live the habits of circadian rhythm. So for example, you could, Lisa, like assign people to just report on which habits of circadian rhythm they did that day. And that would help drive the group momentum. So not measuring against perfect, just measuring against like what they did that's working. Okay, that was a lot, but I hope it shows you guys that there's a lot of different ways to bring in structure so that the group can contribute to their own positive outcomes and build momentum together.
Another idea I have for them is to do it with them. Include myself as a member myself.
Yeah, I'm just going to send some rocket ships on that one. Yeah. Yes, and always. And always. And one thing that I say, you guys have probably heard me say it before, be like, I'm the leader, but I'm a member. Like, I'm a member of Wellness Pro Academy. I'm a member of Club Thrive. I'm a member of Club Hero. I'm a member of my clubs. So as a member, I do what the group's doing. As a leader, I build the structure for the group to evolve. And that's how I see my roles. So it's like, I want to stay ahead building structure for what people are going to need next. As a member, I've got to do everything that we're doing. I got to test the system. I got to be right in there, and I got to report honestly. So if I set a goal and I'm like cheating to my goal, I'm like the first one to be like, oh my gosh, I'm like so not hitting 500 today. I'm hitting 700 and I'm okay with that. And here's why. And it's still working. Right. So spin to the positive, be honest. Yeah. Great, Darlene. I'm just curious, like who likes that about my clubs? Like who's that important for and why? So why is that important?
I love that, Kate. I want that. This is Marianne. Hi, sorry. Because you're not from the outside as this, the top of the pyramid. You're in the middle of the pyramid and leading to the top of it. Like that's the visual that I get. And for me, it's that connection because it becomes more valuable, it's personal, it's honest, it's all of those adjectives. So
Yeah.
to me, it's a really important piece to have dynamic. I love that. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. The like keeping us honest, what it does is like whenever someone's trying to like put you on a pedestal is you just kick it out. You just keep kicking out the pedestal. Because what happens when we put the leader, teacher, guru on the pedestal is we're creating a dynamic that's fixed mindset, where they're trying to make you into the one who's doing it perfectly, either so they can prove you wrong, right? Or so that they can do othering with themselves. Like, I'm just going to rebel against the teacher, parent, leader. Do we have any rebels in here who like, no matter what it is, you're just going to rebel. So if you have that context, right, you're going to provoke that. Whereas if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to rebel against myself. I'm in here with the rest of you. Like, I'm just going to report from the hood and let you know what's really going on the backside. It takes that dynamic out. And now we can all be in growth mindset. We can all learn together. It's so much more honest to how things really, really work. Okay, so we're at our hour. I'm fine with staying on longer. I do have a lot more to share on this topic. I knew in an hour we could only kind of get the gears churning and rolling. I'm going to give us a bunch of action steps. For those who don't know me, hi, I'm Cate. Some of you are not in Wellness Pro Academy. I'm just going to give like a 1 minute like background of this is what we do around here. So in Wellness Pro Academy, it's a global business training for wellness pros. And part of what we do is detox certification, where we help you guide detoxes and resets. And we meet a few times a month just on that. We meet a lot in terms of actually like coaching you into the club business model so that you can guide your clients or patients or students to actual results over time, because we know that healing takes time. We know that our habits are communal. We know that habits are contagious. So if we're with people that have better habits, our members get better a lot faster. So if anyone wants to talk to me about their offer, we'll get you right into our prep school, which is it's over here in Club Thrive TV. It's called Wellness Pro Waitlist. And I can help you with your offer for your club and your gut health reset for free. And if you want to do it with us, then we'll figure out exactly why and what the parameters are. So I'm just going to put an invite in here. Once you get in, just send me a message and we can start right away in working on how a gut health reset or detoxes would work into your best offer ever. I'm also going to give you guys a link to my calendar. So those who just want to talk to me about clubs in general, I'll put that link in here and we can talk one-on-one and basically map out where you'd be in a year if we work together. For the wellness pros here from Wellness Pro Academy, I just want to say, like, get your calendars out and like actually schedule when your reset's going to be. Those of you who are leading a gut health reset, so you know exactly when it is. So I'll stay on for the next 15 minutes and we'll just kind of plan your next action steps. Everyone else is welcome to like stay and listen and learn with us. But if anyone needs to go who like was here for the gut health reset part, yay, awesome. So nice to meet you. Nina, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just a little curious about your recommendations for the structure of it. Like, is it 21 day, right? Kind of thing. Like I just did my Future You call for my first group detox yesterday. It was awesome. Such a great experience. Everybody just, yeah, it was so inspiring. Really, really cool. And I know that people would love this. Also, I'm launching club in January, which I know there's some other people that are doing the same. So I'm like, okay, this could be a great either FOMO for like, I'm only offering this gut reset for people who join the club because I'm looking for my founding members,
Yeah.
or do it, publicly, offering it publicly like the detox, and then having my members in it at the same time. So I guess that's two questions really, but yeah, would you say it's like a 3-week thing where we're easing in, we're going deep, and then we're easing out, or more of a shorter thing? And then what would be your recommendation as far as having it just be in club and having people have FOMO?
Yeah. Yes. So it's, you guys, like, there's not a right and wrong answer here. There's just sticking to a strategy. It's like choosing a strategy and sticking to a strategy, right? That's what's really going to help. And then driving that strategy. So let's play out a few of these examples. If you're going to do it for members only, that means like you're basically marketing it right now. You're pushing people to qualify with a conversation. You're doing the whole closer framework with them. And it's like your onboarding is going to be this gut health reset. So like, go party it up in December. We got you on the backside. Right. So like, you're pushing that now with like every person you've ever worked with. Right. And you can do the promo around like, we're doing this gut health reset. If you want in, you need to message me now. Right. So that whole thing's in motion, and you're enrolling all the way through. The people that won't convert, but you want them to do it anyways. Okay. You can also give free passes to hubs at the same time. So you can do a strategy where like you're pushing the people that you already know into committing to your club and using that gut health reset as that carrot. Another thing that really works well with this is like, who knows that like a few people around you, maybe it's your sister, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your coworker, maybe it's employee, like also is going to need this in January. Like your life would be better if they did a gut health reset with you. Anyone? Right? Like your life is better if they do it with you. Yeah. So you can throw them as a bonus, a few extra passes. So then you can still have a lot of volume and momentum in your group with people to upsell on after. You can be getting referrals, and you can be driving the people that have already worked with you in the past that aren't in your club yet to get in your club. You guys, there's a total misconception that December is a bad time to sell health. It is not. It is not. I've crushed it in December. It just has everything to do with planning and strategy and sticking to your structure with that. So if you did it the other way, if you did it more as a launch, then you would want to keep it really short and contained, especially if you just did a 21-day. You'd want to just do like a 72-hour water fast or a 5-day fast mimicking diet. You'd want to keep that really condensed just so that they get a taste and that you're not going into this like ongoing long-term support with them for people who are not club members.
Yeah, coming out of 21 days and it's like it finished yesterday. I'm like, I need a little bit of a break with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And like a lot of people can do anything for 72 hours, or do anything for 5 days. And so having the container around that and having the dates on the calendar and getting people to put those dates on the calendars is really good for new leads. The other way you can do it is through pricing, like, so for those of you who just make it really like make it $500, but if they're in your club, and some of you in your clubs, like you're bringing your pricing down for those first members. And so like they're getting the sense of like, oh, wow, if I just bought the club pass and I get 4 of these a year included in that, that's going to save me a lot of money. And I'm going to have all these other cool things to do with my club throughout the year. Good. Okay. So does everybody have something on their schedule for January? Who's in Wellness Pro Academy? Okay, awesome. So now just back it out to like, what are the things that are going to need to be done by December 15th? And then what are the things that are going to need to be done by November 30th? And lastly, how easy can it be? I love this question. This is like my wake up prompt to like handle myself, is like, okay, miss, got 25,000 irons in the fire, right? How easy can it be?
So I picked up all these names and had all these conversations from the events that I went to.
Yes.
And I just get the feeling that they're like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. So maybe I call all these people again and I say, this is an opportunity for you to get involved at a much lower price point, much lower commitment, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would do, have you done strategy sessions with each of them where you're doing where they want to be in a year, where they're at now?
Most of them.
Okay, great. Yeah. Then I would do it absolutely as a follow-up. Yeah. And I would even give them extra tickets so they can do it with their friends and they can give it as Christmas presents. So we've tested this actually, it was really fun last night. We flew into our home in Mexico, and I like to, as a family unit, like look back and look forward when we're in liminal space. So when we're traveling, everyone, when you travel or you move, you're in a liminal thinking. So it's easier to get perspective on like where you were and where you are now. So we were recalling as a family, our first time to Mexico. Indy was 3 years old. We're in the same condo complex. We were in a different building. And I was building the How to Evolve Your Winter Traditions course. Was anyone here ever in that? I'm just curious. Okay, so that would have been, Indy was 3, so that would have been 2011. And the way that course worked is you bought a ticket and you got to give it to 5 people as their Christmas present or as their holiday gift or as their end of year present. So you could give it to your friends, you could give it to family, you could give it to colleagues. And it would just be around how you wanted to do the holidays differently together. We tested that for a long time. I mean, we ran that for, oh my gosh, I don't know how many years, maybe 8. And then I started the Wild Habits Challenge, which turned into the Primal Habits Challenge, which turned into just like our end of the year, like winter challenge that we would also run 2 kickoff dates. One was the solstice, one was the 1st of January. So people could decide if they're like, I can't handle this until January, or I want to jump on it. I want to kick off on the summer solstice and like really be with people in the powerful dark season. And we'd run it for a few weeks. They could also give away tickets. So they'd buy a ticket for themselves. They'd justify it as like giving it away to their sister, their mother, their best friend, their coworker, right? Did they care if the other person used it or not? Like maybe, but not really, because they also wanted to be in it. They really were in it for themselves. And that part works great. It just works great because the more people you have in your resets, the more people you have in your detox, you'll start to hit a collective momentum. You start to create a force field around it. Does that give you some ideas, Lisa, about how you might look at it?
Yeah, I think that that's really helpful.
And the way that you can bridge the gap for something that's not starting until January is just that you'll create the group and you'll start to send them like a weekly tip. And they can maybe do 1 or 2 one-on-ones, like 15-minute coaching gyms between now and then based on their 2025 goals.
Okay.
So they might not want to work, guys, people don't really want to work on health per se in December, unless you're like already into the healer mode and you're like the solstice is like your golden time and all that. So we can use that kind of messaging for that. But for a lot of you, like people are not going to want to respond to that messaging. They will respond to where you can be helpful, which is like helping them think ahead to 2025. Because they do want to think about that.
Got some ideas. Thank you.
Okay, good.
So the cleanse last year, there were people that did it who are in the club, and there are people who just did it. And so I'm thinking this year of having it be you do the cleanse and you also get club if you want. And I'm trying to think of how to structure and incentivize that. It was like the same price for the cleanse as it was for a monthly. Does that make sense?
I would just flip-flop that because like one's a year-long like supportive journey, right? That's club. And then the resets and the detoxes are these pillars that happen where new people can come in. So they're great for onboarding because people are going to have a huge shift in a short period of time, right? But then they're going to have the sustained relationship to maintain whatever gains they made. Because the problem when people are just on like your detox or reset cycles, like they make gains, they have a peak experience, and then they lose traction. Right. And you guys, with addiction, like people can become addicted in a way to like these resets where they feel great for a really short period of time. And then there's nothing to hold it. The word for to hold in Sanskrit is DHA. It's that da. It's the da that's in Dharma. It's the da that's in Dhatu. And that, like, if you think of Dhatu, those of you who study Ayurvedic medicine, is like the tissue is contained, it's self-supported in itself. And that's really what the club's doing, is saying like, we're gonna hold you to this higher level of your personal habit integrity. We're doing this as a group. So you're gonna feel our momentum. Even if it feels like you're not making progress to your ideal, if we look back from your past, we can start to see that you've made progress. And the group here can see it, we can notice it. And I can see that, you know, for those of you in Wellness Pro Academy, like I can see that in how you've evolved as a business owner. It's huge. Like Valerie, you're such a great example of someone who realized that you have a niche, they need to hear from you, and you need to pick up the mic and speak to them and speak to other people who are trying to connect with real problem solving. You know, and you guys, that kind of growth, I mean, Beverly, I've seen so much shift in you just in the last 2 months since, you know, just deciding to like, okay, I'm going to change my target market and focus on this group of people and be super helpful where it's really important to me. And then showing up as a pro. So like seeing each other, being recognized, measuring from where we started, not to where we're going. The more we can do that, that helps for you, Kavita, in terms of helping people understand why they don't want to just do the reset, right? They really want to be in the club, and the reset is just something the club does.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to market. So when they buy the reset, it's like they have the option for club.
Okay, so what you're going to do is put that some type of session in there as part of like how, like, we're going to plan your reset, and what we're going to do is talk about the bigger picture, where you want to be in a year. This reset is part of it. We're going to kick stuff off, right? But this reset's only 5 days. And behavior change takes a while. Yeah, just build it right into the package. You guys build your strategy sessions right into the package.
I'm going to be calling mine the New Year, New You challenge. And so I'm going to take advantage of that psychology of New Year's resolution. I'm looking to include like a 30-minute consultation for people who sign up. But would it be also wise to do like a 15-minute for like as like a discovery call type of thing?
I mean, everything works. I do my 15-minute sessions. The reason I do a lot of these 15-minute future use sessions is they just screen. Like I'm my own lead qualifier. Everyone in Wellness Pro Academy right now, like I think what our new member will have a lead qualifier, but almost everyone else doesn't have a lead qualifier. I've had lead qualifiers and salespeople in the past. I was out of sales for like 5-6 years. I'm back in it. And doing the way I'm using 15 minutes is just to like lead qual. It's a thing. Like, is this person serious? Do they have resources? Like, is like this their core issue right now? And if they're not, great. We'll put them in long-term nurture. So have you guys followed Alex Hormozi's BAM Fam, book a call from a call? Okay, we'll work on that in WPA this week. Book a call from a call. So if you do 15 minutes and it's clear, it usually will be clear to you in the first 10 minutes, especially the more of these you do, whether or not this is someone you want to work with in the future, someone you'd even want in your club, right? Then you're just going to book the second call right there. And I usually book that second call within 48 hours of the first call. Because it's like, let's just go in, let's just figure this out. Like, are you really trying to get to B? Like, are we really solving a problem here? Or am I just your entertainment in the moment? Someone to tell your story to, right? And then at that point, we usually know in that second 30 minutes, I'm just trying to get to like, what's B? Like, what's their future you? What's sell the vacation in Hormozi language? And then what's that worth? Because they're going to have to pay money. So is that worth more than the money they're going to have to pay? And that's where I want to get in that second 30 minutes. So if you want to build rapport, you could just do that. Hey, this includes 2 calls. The first one's 15 minutes. this is what we're doing. The second one's 30 minutes. And then you kind of set yourself up for that. Or you can just, I mean, there's a million ways to do it, but that.
Yeah. So the 15 one would be a free one, right? Because they haven't signed up for the detox or whatever it might be. And then like,
yeah. So I see. I misunderstood your question. I thought it was for people already that it's like, part of the package. So this is just to help. Yeah. And I would kind of make that new year, new you, 15-minute session. That's all I would call it. It's free. That's it. And then you're doing that same method of like you're screening to the 30.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like you're not going to sell them in 15 minutes. Like you're just going to figure out like what's their A, what's their B. And if it's interesting to both of you, then you schedule the 30 where you can get into like what's it worth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I am curious about how to approach a potential hub. There's a woman-owned business who does a juice company. And so I was thinking that would be a great hub for this reset in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would do is this. I would be like, hey, I love your business. I want to get to know more about what your issues, you know, it's like, where can my business help your business? So we always start with that. Like, where can my business help your business? Let's see if there's some good mutual, first of all, affinity. We're just looking for affinity, right? Is this like on a vibe level? Do we have the same vibe? Because if we don't have the same vibe, our clientele is not going to have the same vibe, even if it's a juice bar, right? Like, and we're not going to be able to work together. So then it's like, I really want to know, like, what are your goals for 2025? What are your pain points? And where can we be mutually supportive? And then you can say, like, I have some ideas too, you know, and then it goes from there.
Cool. And so then also with a potential other hub to host the reset at like a yoga studio or something like that, is that how you would start the conversation too?
Yeah, I would start every hub conversation. And you guys, that is in the hubs lesson, like in terms of like this is how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we always want to know their needs really before stating ours.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And when I don't do this, it totally backfires because I still don't do this. Like even yesterday, I was rereading a message I sent yesterday and I'm like, oh, whoopsie. So I'll make good on that today. And that's kind of how we learn, right? We had this joke, Winston and I, when I was in Ayurveda and yoga college, I was going between Grass Valley and San Francisco, and we were living in a apartment building right in San Fran on Fell and Divisadero. It was a five bedroom flat, and there, I think we're 5 or 6 of us in there, you know, just like in our 20s doing the thing. And one of our roommates ate ice cream for breakfast. So like, and she was overweight. And so every morning she'd take Ben and Jerry's out of the fridge and like start eating Ben and Jerry's. And it's like, we often learn through not doing it right, right? We often learn through that which is self-punitive. So if something doesn't work with a hub where you reach out and you're like, that didn't work, that didn't connect. Let me compare that against what, you know, the hubs lesson in WPA and see like where might I have a little tiny room for improvement so I can test that part next. That's what I do. Right. So it's like, if it comes off as like, hey, I would love my launch to go through your audience, like, okay, it's not going to go off so well. But with a yoga studio, you might be like, hey, I'm super curious. Like, are you trying to use your studio more? Like, do you have hours that it's just not really making money? Because I might be interested in renting it for a few hours. And maybe if we could do some like cross promotional thing where I could like even pay you for people that come to my thing when I'm renting it during those hours, like that would be amazing. And so then they get a sense of, wow, you're curious about using their space when it's underutilized. Who here has had a space rental that you've owned a studio or you've owned a space to rent? Anyone? Yeah. Stacy, do you want to speak for a second, Bev, about having underused hours?
Yeah, I sublet to another Ayurvedic practitioner, and we just pick days ahead of time because I also work at the hospital. So I said, these are the days I'm not using it. And then it helped me pay the rent, you know, which
helps
was
pay the rent. It's huge.
awesome.
It's huge.
And then within that space, we were renting in a yoga studio. They had that yoga space that when we had a bigger class or something, then we could then rent that space to use to have a bigger program. And it worked really nicely.
Yeah. Because there's two things that you're really looking for. It sounds like, Jess, is one, you're looking for space, and two, you're looking for a bigger list, access to their list. So as long as we address those two things separately, and we can figure out like, well, what would they want from it? Well, they might want money, because those two things are worth money, right? Then how do we structure it? How do we think through some potential offers? That would be great. And sometimes it's like, they might not want money. They might want their entire staff to be able to do your reset for free. They might want to give this gift back to their top 10 clients. So for example, in my business, if I asked my, the person who manages my list, it's like, I want to know who spent over $30,000 with me, which is a high number, but I've been in business, you guys, for 20 years. So I should have numbers like that. I want that so I can give them things in December. I just want to be generous and give them something. So you might also look at that. If the studio owner they might need to cover their rent or their overhead. They might need to get their staff up to speed on a few things like their own personal health. They might want to gift their clientele, right? Those are just three things just off the top of my head that I can think but would be interesting. So if you talk to them, you're going to notice when you're talking to them, like, what is their sell to vacation? Is it community building? Is it their teacher training? Is it covering their overhead, their monthly nut? Like, what is it for them? And that's where we can make offers that, just like in club membership, we can make offers that are unique to the person in front of us to meet their specific needs. It's going to be much more effective.
I was going to say, I did a cross promotion too with the yoga studio where I was bringing new people in who hadn't been to their space. And so they were offering them a discount on their first class. And then after the first class, a discount on a unlimited for a month.
Right.
To get them to come in.
Yeah. Awesome. Jess, do you have some ideas from this now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
I also think it's like interesting how the closer framework comes up in so many different places. Like whether it's like in coaching, a sales conversation, or even talking to hubs.
Or parenting. I could do a workshop on that. You can use the closer framework for anything you're trying to move forward. I mean, really, it's like, why are we here? Where are we trying to go? What have we tried before? Right? Right. So clarify why we're showing up, label the problem. All right. And we're just kind of moving through it. Yeah, you just can kind of move through it. And then you can see like, oh, wow. Then what happens is there's a clear path. Like, okay, now we're really clear where we want to be. So then we get to sell the vacation. Right. And in this process, we're able to then align into like, what's actually the next action.
Yeah. And it's super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, with everything we do in Wellness Pro Academy, the key is repetition so that we can learn like how, if we haven't done any of this before, great. We measure from where we started. We haven't done this before. I talked to an Ayurvedic curriculum consultant and teacher this year. She teaches for 4 Ayurveda certification programs. What we talked about, she's like, no, none of those things are happening in any of those 4 programs. Like there's no real business model. There's no way to get clients. There's no way to turn a client into like a committed sale. There's no real offer, like none of these things. So most of you are measuring from where you started, which is like, I have 0 business training. Right. So then we just get like a little bit better at a few things. And we measure against that. And it takes time. Just like someone starting with me with a lot of health issues. Like I know I am in my path, like 3-year member. This is where it's going to take us 3 years. That's where we're going to be, because it's going to take time. Right. That's not a problem. We all have time. Yeah. So you'll keep seeing that, you guys, and you'll see it from like, that didn't go the way I wanted. Awesome. Like bring that on our next coaching call. let's workshop it. Let's like figure out where, and then we'll just go back into, does my training need to get fixed, or is it actually in the training we just need to like put a little bit more of your time, attention, focus on that little one line on that bitch of a worksheet. That's that part of the process, whether that's Hub or Closer Framework. All right, you guys, love you. See you around. You have my link if you need to schedule a one-on-one. Mwah.